I'm Jim.
I'm Steph.
And this is Life at 6 knots. Terrible.
So terrible. One knot equals 1.15 miles per hour. If you've ever driven through a school zone at 25 miles per hour, you can imagine how fast 6 knots is. It's slow. And that's the point. After spending most of our adult lives in a fast-paced existence driven by a mortgage to pay, a house to maintain, and a whole mess of things we simply had to have, we decided it was time for a change. We wanted to slow things down, experience life at a pace where we weren't just watching the scenery pass by, but actually living in it. It's not that life was bad. We actually had a pretty great life. We were surrounded by friends and family, we went on fun adventures, and we were more or less happy. But we didn't want to just have adventures, we wanted to live one. We wanted a life with fewer possessions, fewer ties, and more time and energy to experience and enjoy the beautiful world around us. In a time of our lives when change was imminent, we happened to visit some friends in the Pacific Northwest. We spent a long weekend exploring Seattle, Victoria, and Bainbridge Island. On our last day, we were sitting at lunch overlooking Eagle Harbor and the marina, discussing our plans for the immediate future with our friends when Jim said, maybe we should buy a boat and live here in a marina. It was a joke, but it wasn't. And we had 13 long hours on the car ride home to discuss it and find a reason not to. We never found one. We had always been drawn to water, and we'd both grown up around boats. The decision to live on a boat was an appealing one, and we quickly fell in love with the idea of living on a sailboat. The problem was, neither of us had ever actually been sailing, so we scheduled ourselves some lessons, and we learned how to sail on a Holder 20 in Lake Natoma with almost no wind at all. Once our plan was firmly in place, and we felt confident we would enjoy the actual sailing part of the plan, we had to tell our families we'd be moving to another state. It was torture trying to keep it from them while we were figuring out the logistics, but we didn't want to get people riled up before we were sure. None of them were fond of the idea of our leaving, but they were all supportive of our choice to do something new and exciting with our lives. So we sold our house, and most of our belongings. What things we absolutely had to keep, we packed into a storage unit. We filled the back of the truck and hit the road for Washington. We started shopping for a boat right away. We must have seen 20 boats before we found just the right one. Jim is 6'4", and that made sailboat shopping a challenge, as most have less than 6 foot headroom. We also found it was necessary to try out each of the beds to make sure he fit. Some passed the test, others did not. After many boats and one heartbreak, we found Willow, a 36-foot Islander freeboard. We made an offer and bought our boat. We were ready for life at 6 knots.